Okay, in this video I'm going to look at percentages, fractions and decimals, and how you cope with comparing the size of these three quantities. In lots of questions you'll be given a list of a mixture of these quantities, and you might be asked to put them in ascending order, for example. Okay, in this case I've got 59%, 11/20ths, 0.6. Let's say I wanted to put them in ascending order. If I'm going to put them in ascending order, you've got a problem to overcome first. These are three different types of fraction. This is a percentage, which is out of 100 fraction. That's the typical fraction that we normally associate with fractions. And this one here is what we call a decimal fraction. But they're all fractions, they're all a part of something. You need to get them all either as percentages, or get them all as decimals, or get them all as fractions with the same bottom line. Then you can compare them. For this one, I think what I'll do is, I'll change all of them into percentages. It's entirely up to you whether you change them into percentages, to decimals or to fractions. It's entirely up to you. So the first one here, okay, I'm going to say that this is equal to, I'm going to leave the 59% exactly as it is, 59%. Now the second one here, 11/20ths, I'm going to change that to a fraction which is out of 100. And I'm simply going to times it by 5 on the bottom to get 100. So I'm going to times that by 5, and you'll get 55 out of 100. Okay? This one here, I'm also going to change into a percentage. To change a decimal into a percentage, it's really simple. If you have something like 0.71, it's just 71%. You can just read off the decimal and see the pattern as it converts to a percentage. What you're really doing is you're multiplying by 100 to go from decimal to percentage. So for something like 0.6, that's really 0.60, so that's the same as 60%. So I've got two of them as percentages, and now this one is a fraction, but it's out of 100. Okay, so we've got 59%, leave that alone. That one there is 55 over 100, which is 55%. And this one here is 60%. So obviously in ascending order, like so, the smallest one is 11/20ths, the next one is 59%, and the largest quantity is 0.6. And you have to write these out using the initial quantities that were given in the question. Okay, there you go. Obviously this middle one here, I've just times the top and bottom by 5 to get 55 over 100, and I don't need a calculator to do that. If you wanted to, you could use a calculator if it was paper 2, and using a calculator all you'd have to do is you could change it to a decimal, for example, by saying 11 share by 20. 11 share by 20 would give you 0.55, and then 0.55 decimal you can see is 55%. So that's a way you could do it if it wasn't as easy as this 20 on the bottom and you have a calculator on paper 2. So let's do one which is a bit harder. Say number 2, let's say you've got a quarter. Let's say you've got 23%, and let's say you've got 0.2. Like so. Now, looking at this here, I'm going to change each one of these into, okay, this time I'll change them into a decimal. Okay, last time I did percentages, this time I'll do a decimal. So this is going to be equal to, now a quarter. Most of you will know a quarter is 0.25. If you don't know, 1 share by 4 on a calculator will give you 0.25. Okay, so that's 0.25. You might say, well, let's say it's paper 1 and you don't know how to do 1 divided by 4 in your head, and you have no calculator, and you don't know it's 0.25. What would you do? Well, you could take 1 and you could share it by 4 as a side sum like that. You could say 4 into 1 doesn't go, put a point naught on, put a point, carry the 1 on. 4 into 10 goes twice, 2 4s are 8, 2 to carry on, add another naught, carry the 2 on. 4 into 20 goes exactly 5 times with nothing left over. So there you go, 0.25. So 1 share by 4, 0.25. Calculator or side sum. 23% from just the pattern of how these things work, you can just convert that, that's the same as 0.23. And 0.2, well, it's 0.2, but to make it consistent with the other decimals we've got, put a 0 on the end, so you've got 2 decimal places for each. You can now quite clearly see the rank order. If I was to put them in, say, I don't know, descending order for a change. Descending order. That means you start with the biggest. The biggest is a quarter. The next biggest is 23%. And the smallest is 0.2. There you go. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's how you compare fractions, decimals and percentages. That's the end of this video.